Hey guys, it's Merlin here, and I wanted to have an anime discussion, something that has been on my mind for like months because I went back and I read a certain manga, particularly the last couple volumes again, and it really made me realize how I felt about a certain series. Now, unfortunately, the Green Clan has been really busy. I think people have been getting ready for finals, Thanksgiving break, and other people just have a lot of work, family, whatever. I myself have been really busy the last couple months, so I'm really just trying to take this opportunity while I have a little bit of free time to just get a couple videos out there. You've probably seen an upstream of videos for, I'm probably just going to pump a lot of them out over the next week or so. I just want to get some thoughts out there. Anyway, I want to have a discussion with the Green Clan at some point, hopefully in the next week or so. We haven't been able to get together too much, but I really just want to talk about this while it's still fresh in my mind, and hopefully we'll get to expand on this later. And that is regarding the ending of Urasawa's Monster, the anime and manga. Now, as some of you guys know, a lot of people in the Green Clan are big fans of this manga. It's a very well-written story, and the anime was a really good adaptation as well, probably one of the most faithful I've ever seen. A lot of people know it for Johan being considered one of the most frightening villains in all of anime and manga, and Tenma for being one of the most sympathetic and interesting heroes and protagonists in anime and manga. So it has some really, really great character writing, as well as a really, really fascinating mystery plot dealing with a lot of morbid and rather frightening issues about the human psychosis, the human condition, and just society in general. It's a really, really awesomely written series. Urasawa was a fantastic writer. He also did 20th Century Boys, among others. Monster is honestly probably one of my favorite anime and manga series. It's up there for me. However, I do have one issue with it that I personally don't like that much. And this is the ending. Now, I'm going to try and keep this relatively spoiler-free. I can't really promise that. In fact, no. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm just going to say there's spoilers. If you haven't read Monster yet or watched it and you're interested, just stop watching the video right here. Go back and watch it, read it whenever you can. And if you feel like it, come back to this video later to figure out what I was talking about. But for anyone that has actually seen the anime or read the manga to its fullness, to fruition, okay, continue. So, spoiler warning. I have to talk about a few spoilers here. It's impossible not to because I'm talking about the ending of the series. Alright, my first problem with the series is that I kind of felt that it was building up to something really epic. Johan basically wants to try and eliminate all mankind. He thinks that mankind is worthless, it's flawed, and they should all be killed. He wants to be the last person on Earth. Basically, he is the ultimate villain. He is the ultimate idea of everything that is evil about a person, and who is also incredibly brilliant and manipulative and can kind of just control all these people and set about a chain of events that could lead to the destruction of the world, mostly by having other people do it to themselves and to each other. One of the fascinating aspects of Monster, and one of the frightening things about Johan as a villain. So most of the series, it seems like it's going to lead up to something really epic. I don't know, like a war, nuclear devastation, terrorist attacks, a string of cults or serial killers. Something. Little things that you see elements of throughout the entire series. You think that Johan's master plan is going to build up to this great thing. Basically what happens is, Johan basically beckons Tenma to follow him, as well as a number of other characters, to a town of certain special significance to him to kind of relive events again, to basically incite mass murder throughout an entire town, through a various chain of events, manipulation, etc. Just to kind of prove his point about humanity. Now, admittedly, this is still pretty awesome because he's eventually going to try and have an entire town, a small town, murder each other. Oh, admittedly, nowhere near as epic as it seemed like it was going, but still, pretty interesting, fairly tense. But that was one issue I had with it, was that it kind of didn't end anywhere near as epic of a note as it seemed like it was going. But that kind of, I think, has something to do with the point that the author was going towards, which I'll get to in a few seconds. Basically, we kind of learn through a couple twists and turns. I won't reveal exactly what reveals it, but the problem I have with the series comes from the fact that throughout the series there is a huge mystery about Johan and why he is the way he is. And it's kind of made to see that he is this truly evil person. But they really, really push it to the angle that he is not responsible for his actions. They make Johan Liebert possibly the most vile, villainous, evil villain in all of anime and manga to date, a sympathetic character who you're supposed to feel bad for, because he really was subjected to all this mind control and hypnosis by a rogue group in the government that really was trying to create the ultimate weapon. And this kind of takes away some of the mystery of the character, because there's almost a supernatural force behind him implying that he really is truly evil. And this sort of takes it away because it says that he's not fully responsible for his actions and that he hates himself and basically wants to be killed along with everyone else. And that sort of kind of goes against the primary theme of the show and sort of takes away a little something from Johan. Because, yes, I will admit, making a character more sympathetic adds more dynamic elements and makes him a little more complicated, more interesting, more believable, etc. I get that. But it sort of takes away what makes Johan so awesome in the first place. Is he's supposed to be somebody at the other end of the spectrum from Tenma, the ultimate worst of humanity that's represented. And this sort of defuses some of that. He makes him less terrifying and honestly less awesome of a villain. And that happens a lot in anime, I've noticed, and a lot, to be honest, in modern TV shows in the United States and in comics. They take villains that are really evil and awesome and frightening and try to make them more sympathetic. I don't mind this happening once in a while, and for some characters it works, but it's really been a lot more common, and it takes away from certain characters. You know, the Joker is one example that's pretty common. He's just a lot more frightening when you don't know a whole lot about him. He's more of a force of nature, which Johan was supposed to be. So that's one thing about it I didn't like. And probably another thing that was really unsatisfying to me, at least it was implied from the manga panels, is that the whole series is building up to Tenma doing what he has to do and make up for what happened when he saved Johan's life as a child and actually righting that wrong, fixing that mistake, and doing what he needs to do, and that is actually kill somebody. Yes, it goes against his principles, but that's the point. This is the one person that has to push him to the edge because he's responsible in some way for this guy's actions. Because Johan has caused so much pain and destruction because he saved him as a young child. He needs to correct that mistake because he feels guilty. The whole series is building up to this. The final climax comes up, and guess what Tenma does? Or rather, doesn't do. He doesn't kill Johan. In fact, Johan is nearly killed by someone else, and what does Tenma do again when he's faced that situation? He saved his life again. And guess what happens at the end? He feels bad for him, and Tenma lets him go. Johan disappears. And is he going to... and I don't know, is he going to make up for his actions? Is he going to go off and live a peaceful life now that he's revealed the truth about what was done to him when he was a kid? Or because he's so incredibly messed up, is he going to go around killing hundreds of thousands of more people and possibly bringing about the end of the world? I don't know. Now, admittedly, this could speak to some particular aspect about Tenma being someone who ultimately cannot change, and it is the goodness within him that kind of parallels the hope that Johan was trying to destroy. So, one could argue that the cycle might continue itself and the world might be in danger, but this one good person was never truly corrupted. I can understand symbolically what they're going for, and I think it's kind of interesting, but from a practical perspective, I think Tenma should have honestly killed Johan. So it's really kind of frustrating that the whole series builds up to that point, and what do we get from it? Basically, nothing's completely resolved. There's just a lot of stuff left hanging open in the air, and I admit that is okay. It's not the worst ending to a manga or series in general that I've ever seen. I've seen plenty of worse ones, even in anime, but it's still kind of disappointing and leaves something to be desired. Okay guys, I hope I didn't spoil this for anybody, but I did warn you. So, hopefully the Green Clan will have a discussion on this. I'll kind of expand my thoughts on it. I want to get other people's opinions about this, but I needed to get this out there because this has been bugging me for a while. You know, maybe someone could shed some light on this and bring a new perspective. But those are my feelings about the ending of Monster. It's a great series, but I think there are some issues with the ending that keep it from being as ultimately perfect as it could have been. I personally think 20th Century Boys kind of succeeded in some areas where Monster failed towards its ending, kind of giving us a little better of a payoff. Alright guys, let me know what you thought about Monster, the ending if you finished reading it or watching it, and let me know what you guys think about Johan, Tenma, and the whole concept of the series' ultimate goal. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on Monster and its ending. Merlin out. Support Green Clan Studios.